Hello developers, welcome to my video series on Microsoft Flight Simulator add-on workflow. Today's episode is diving right into the building and compiling of the sample simple aircraft. We'll learn about the project folder setup, the project file setup, how you can or should set up your folder structure. We'll look at the InSim developer project tools. We'll review the project files and folder structure, and we'll review the project editor, inspector window, the console window, the behaviors debug, and the aircraft editor. We will look at the sources for the 3D models, textures, and the config files, the flight files, and the model definition file or the model XML file. There's a lot to review. First, we'll copy the SDK sample for the simple aircraft from the SDK folder to your projects folder for your projects. Yes, make a projects folder. I called mine MSFS projects. Let's copy the simple aircraft folder over to the projects folder. So you've created a projects folder. Let's go over to the SDK, samples, developer, aircraft, SimObjects aircraft, and we'll get the simple aircraft. We will copy it, move ourselves over to our projects folder, and we'll paste it in here. It's a lot of files. So let's look inside. We have a package definitions folder, we have a package sources folder, a sources folder, and we have the actual project file, a simple aircraft project.xml. Let's open the package definitions folder, and here we have a sub-file of the projects folder, another XML file, and then inside that we also have another folder, My Company Aircraft Simple. If we open up that, we have content info, marketplace data, package metadata JSON file. Basically, we've got some marketplace information and package information, and these are core files that you really shouldn't be manipulating at this time. Let's go back up to the simple aircraft folder and open up the package sources. Here you see SimObjects. Open that and you have airplanes. Open that and we have My Company Simple Aircraft folder, and this is where you're going to have your data files for your project and for your actual model. The preceding folder structure is mandatory. So under package sources we have SimObjects, airplanes. That's mandatory. After that we have My Company Simple Aircraft for your actual aircraft. If you're familiar with the FSX, you will recognize that the folders and files in this folder, config files, flight files, model, panel, sound, textures, all of these different files. This is where you will manipulate all these files to make your aircraft work in the sim. If we go back up to the simple aircraft main folder and open up the last folder, which is the sources, you got art, max, and then we have some texture files and max files here. This folder can be named as you like, sources, art, max, whatever. This is where you're going to keep the data that you work on, and in our case we'll be working in Blender, so we'll have a blend file here. Unfortunately, Asobo did not provide a blend file for any of the sources, but we could get one if we use the fly-by-wire importer, and we'll do that later. This is your work folder, the sources folder, so you make your models in Blender and save them here. You will export your folder to the Simple Aircraft, Package Sources, Sim Objects, Airplanes, My Company, Simple Aircraft, and Model folder. So if we follow that, we'll go down to Package Sources, Sim Objects, Airplanes, My Company, and Model. You'll export your Blender file into these GLTF files in the model folder. Your textures will be in the texture folder, and these will be exported and copied over by the Blender exporter, so there's nothing for you to do. There's no copy and paste that has to be manually done. So there's nothing for you to do, and we'll just build it in the sim. Okay, we'll open the sim and we'll stay at the main menu. You should be in developer mode. So developer mode is in the options area, general options, developers, and developer mode on. So basically, if you're in the main menu and in developer mode with the developer menu, you're good to go. As a side issue here, while you're testing your aircraft, your logbook won't be updated. So any flying time you do with the developer mode on is not logged as flight hours. This is by design and you can't really change that. Now that you are in developer mode, open the project from the developer menu. Open the project, and what you get here is you go into your project, Simple Aircraft, open the project. At this point in time, the sim will open up a project editor window with listing your project in there and all its assets. You can make this bigger, smaller, you can move it around, etc. But for now, we'll just leave it as a free-floating window. You can expand the project and it lists all the assets. So expanding the project, we have the marketplace data. You saw that folder. And we have the My Company Simple Aircraft Sim Object folder. To look at the assets, you need to open the Inspector tab. And you do that with opening the View and Inspector. In my case, it put it as a tab right here, but it would most likely end up as a secondary window on your screen. All you have to do is take that window title bar, put it into next to the project editor, and it becomes a tab on the window. The Inspector tab shows the details of what is selected in the project editor. So we have the project selected here, and we have the inspector showing all of the information for the project. We have release notes, the summary, and the overall assets as a list here of the My Company Simple Aircraft and Marketplace data. If we select just the Marketplace in the project editor and look at the inspector, we see what's in the Marketplace. We have the summary, lorem ipsum type of text right now, just filler text, business data, background images that you will place into your package, and blocks of information that is used when you display it in the sim. The sim object and the inspector sim object telling where this aircraft is going to be built from. So the asset directory, sim objects, airplanes, My Company, and it's going to be placed into sim objects, airplanes, My Company, Simple Aircraft. This is a different folder, and we'll see that when we build it. Selecting the main project in the project tab, then opening the inspector tab, So the project, selecting the main project, open the Inspector tab. You can see that the full name of the project is based on the company name and the package name. So this is what we need to change for you. We need to change the My Company name to something else. If you look at the Microsoft folder and open that up, any community folder, you'll see that information is shown here by the company and the aircraft and what the aircraft is, and maybe based on scenery from a particular company. Got Friends, Sim Solutions, Fly-by-Wire, Cowan Sims. All of that information is part of your project. In the official screen, we have Asobo, and we have all of their information. We have the base packages, we have Microsoft, etc. So the name for the Asobo aircraft is, let's go right to the top. We have the Asobo aircraft, the 208B Grand Caravan, etc. Where Asobo is the company name, then the project is an aircraft project and the name of the aircraft that you're working on. Now you as a developer, you need to pick a company name, and it has to be unique from other companies. The Simple Aircraft has the company name of My Company. So basically we have a company name, My Company. But if every developer used that same name, we would have conflicts. So pick a company name. I've got GS614. You can't take that, and all my add-ons will start with GS614. We'll keep the Simple Aircraft as the project name, or you can change it. So my project will be GS614 Aircraft Simple Aircraft. So I'm going to change that. And notice that the full name has changed also. The Simple Aircraft sample project already has all of the data that you need. It's already set up for you. If you created a project from scratch, and then we'll do that in a later episode, you'd have to provide a lot of information. This sample is just to get you started. So if we go back to the project Simple Aircraft here, and the project editor, let's look at the project editor, and we'll select the marketplace data and the inspector. And we saw that we had a lot of information already set up. We've got thumbnails, a lot of information for the tags have been set up, some text, business data, background images, placeholders for some of these images, and blocks of data for reference information for the aircraft, different pictures of the aircraft, more placeholder files, slider information, scroller information, liveries, etc. So there's a lot of information already set up for you in the Simple Aircraft sample. For now, I just want you to pick a company name, and we'll change that and enter that. Now what we have to do, you see a little mark here that says something has changed. Let's save the project. And we'll just save that, and we're done. Go back to the project editor, selecting the project itself and the inspector. At the bottom here, you'll see the Build Package button. This is the button that is going to compile all of the information in your project into a package that the sim can use. So we'll click on that, and what will happen is a new window will open up after it builds the package. It's going to take a while, so we'll just wait. And what happens is we have a new window. We can do the same thing with this window and put it up beside that and incorporate it into just one window. What we're looking for here is all of the information that will happen when the package is being built. And the important information is this last line. What we're looking for is 0 failed. But we have a problem here because we have an error. The error detail is not really very helpful, says there's no thumbnail. But as you saw before, we went through all of this. Marketplace data, inspector. We have a thumbnail. What's going on? Well, this is a bug in the way the system works because I told you to change the company name. A lot of information had to change with it, and one part that didn't change was the thumbnail. So after the build is complete, if we look inside our packages for the simple aircraft, we now have some additional folders. These folders are special folders, and the folder names should not be changed. So they're hard-coded, and you will be regenerating them every time you build the aircraft. The package init folder, the packages folder, and the packages metadata folder. So let's deal with our error that we had in the console. Basically, we are missing marketplace data information. So the marketplace data information is kept in the package definition file. We have the project subfile. We have the new package definition. Remember, this was my company before, and it's changed. And we have some content information. There's a thumbnail. And we have a marketplace data information. And there's some more thumbnails there. Something is missing. So we have to figure that out by opening up some other. Let's go back to our SDK files and go there, sim objects, aircraft, simple aircraft, and we'll look at the package definition files we have here. So you can see there's a bit of a difference. We have content info, we have no difference there, sorry. But if we look at the marketplace data, so we're missing all of those placeholders and files associated. So what we need to do is copy all of that information into our own folder. So will that fix it? I hope so. What we can do now is we can clear this data. We no longer need it. So we start fresh. We have the project selected. Go back to the Inspector tab, and we'll build the project. It should build quickly. The first time that it goes through, it has to move all the textures, but it also has to change the textures from PNG files to DDS files. So this looks much better. We have 0 failed. So let's go to the world map now. We'll move this out of the way. World map. We'll select our file. Oh, there it is right there. There's our simple aircraft. Select a location that you would like to fly from, and let's have a look. So the aircraft goes through the routine of setting things up, and we'll just have to wait for that. Try to speed up things.
Charlie Yankee Charlie Echo traffic, Charlie Golf Delta Foxtrot Echo, taking off runway tree for straight out departure.
Well, what have we got here? We've got an aircraft, I can hear it. But there's something wrong. Well, not quite wrong. It's just that the simple aircraft doesn't have an interior, so you can't see it. So let's go to the external view, and there you are. You've built your first aircraft and made it work in the sim. So go ahead, let's fly it. We'll do it in the Grand Theft Auto mode of third person or second person or whatever. Anyways, let's see if we can fly our aircraft. Take the parking brake off. Oh, we have some animations too. And there you have it. See if we could flaps up, gear up. Look at that. Pretty simple, right? Yes, you'll see. You'll see how simple this is. There's a lot of information that we have to go through, but you had your first taste of building an aircraft for the simulator. So you should now be able to make your way around the project. So our project has disappeared from our window here when we were building it and moving things around. So File, Open Recent, Simple Aircraft, and it should appear again in our window. It's going to take a while to pull that information in. We'll just wait. There we are. We've opened up the project editor. Select our project. Again, the inspector has all our information. So you're looking at all these tabs. Again, marketplace data. When you've done your research on your aircraft, you'll be able to fill in all this information. Your background images, you'll take images of your aircraft in different configurations, different ways, liveries, etc. You can make your way around this information, and all your research is going to be put to good use by applying it to all these folders. Okay, let's view some simple aircraft config file data and some XML behaviors. So in the Dev Mode Editor menu, we can open up the Aircraft Editor. So the Aircraft Editor is another file, and we can add that to our tabs here. We can select our particular aircraft, so the project and the aircraft, select it, and now we have all of the information associated with configuring and setting up our aircraft. All this information is in the config files, the CFG files that are in your project sources. And then you open up the tabs and you have a lot of information associated to your aircraft. Flight model, weight and balance, etc. You could either make your changes here in the aircraft editor, or you can use Notepad++ and make your changes there. But do one or the other and not both. So in the flight mode, let's open the behaviors window. Just make sure that you have got your project open and you've got it selected, etc. And you've already built your project and you can see it in the sim. So under tools, we'll have behaviors. The behavior screen comes up. We can make that part of our list of different windows, and we'll look for the simple aircraft XML file. Well, the problem is the simple aircraft does not have any components that are used by the behaviors. They're using simple animations, and by simple animations I mean that the model behaviors files in the sources, airplanes, is information using animations and part info. They don't use what Asobo uses, components. So you won't be able to debug your animations using the behaviors, because you don't have any behaviors in the simple aircraft model. What we can do is we can open it like we did, and what we're going to do is we'll add some behavior information to it. Copy it. I'll add it to the bottom of the file here. So I've added the behaviors section, something that's nice and easy, and I've added a component. We can save that. We can go into the project, make sure the project is selected, the inspector, and we can build the project again. So that'll take a while to build. And what we can do is we can look at the console when it returns. We get the information here, 0 failed, behaviors debug. Let's see. Oh, we now have simple aircraft. We can select the simple aircraft, and we can select the template for our handling component, but really we don't have anything in there to actually see. But we did add it. We can see our behaviors debug, and we'll get into that a little later. Here's an example of, let's grab the aircraft config, and we will put it into Notepad, and here's what we get with that. So all of that information that you saw in the aircraft editor is basically a bunch of key and value pairs. What I mean by that is there's a key, and the key has a value. All of this information or config files are key value pairs. There is also a flight file information that does not have any editor in it. This one you have to do by yourself. but since they're all basically the same but changing some of these key value pairs, they're easy to manipulate. So the apron flight file is, guess what? Set up for or the way you set up your aircraft when it's sitting on the apron. We assume it'll be cold and dark. Nothing will be turned on, and it'll be as if you are entering the aircraft from a parking position. The XML files that are in the model file, simple aircraft model, has what we updated before, has the information associated with animations and how you interact with the aircraft. We'll get into more detail on how to do all this stuff in a later episode, but for now, it's your first exposure to it. Well, we've built a simple aircraft and reviewed the project data. Although it didn't have an interior, we were able to fly it from the outside. In our next episode, we'll review all the files in the SimObjects folder and its subfolders. Good luck, and see you next time.